Hello friends, welcome to Storytime with Mary
and Molly.
Please, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do that now and click on that bell so you can receive immediate notification every time we post a new video.
And today's story is called Finding Things. It's actually Uncle Arthur telling about himself and other people how they lost some things and they couldn't find it. But by prayer, God helped them to find it.
I'm so excited about the story.
Too.
It is
little stories.
Little stories.
3-4 stories.
3-4 stories in one chapter. It reminds me of how many times also we've had situations like that and how God came through. So enjoy this story. Isn't it annoying to lose something that you value very much? I should say it is. If only there were some way of finding lost things. Wouldn't that be useful? Then we'd never have to worry about them anymore. Well, there is a way. I wouldn't want to say that it always works, for there are some things that are better lost than found, but it does work sometimes, and you ought to know about it. I lost something the other day that simply had to be found. Where was it? What could have happened to it? I could not tell. Where was it? What could have happened to it? I could not tell. That I had it in my hand some days before, I was certain. But now, just when it was most needed, it was nowhere to be found. I turned out every drawer and cupboard. I hunted high and low. I asked everybody who might had seen it, but all to no avail. No one had seen it. The precious piece of paper had completely disappeared. What made it worse was the fact that I was dreadfully rushed at the time, with 1,001 things demanding attention. There simply wasn't time to go on looking over and over again. Yet it had to be found, and now, well, I'll tell you. I shut my eyes for a moment and said, "Dear Lord, you know how very busy I am, and how I must find the document right away. Please, find it for me." I opened my eyes, and believe it or not, there it was, less than 3 feet from my nose. Perhaps you'll say, of course it had been there all the time. Maybe it had, but for some reason I had not been able to see it. Perhaps Jesus wanted me to think about him just then. Anyway, I did, and it worked. Which reminds me that a young lady spoke to me the other day and told me how, on going home from college one day, she lost her purse with $1.50 in it. That was a lot of money for her to lose, as she was poor. She felt she might have it back, so she told Jesus about it and asked his help. 3 weeks passed, 3 weeks of waiting and wondering. Then one morning, a package arrived through the mail containing the lost purse, with $1.50 inside. Very remarkable, you must admit.
But here's another story. Not many months ago, there was a knock at my door, and a very worried woman told me that while in London that day, she had lost her keys, house keys, trunk keys, and all the rest. "Where did you lose them?" I inquired. "At the zoo," she replied. "The zoo?" I exclaimed. "What a place to lose anything." She agreed, especially as that day the place had been crowded with thousands and thousands of visitors. There was nothing to do but pray. Absolutely no other hope. And how she prayed. Bless her dear old heart. Heaven couldn't help but answer such a prayer of faith as that. Days passed. She had to get a carpenter or a locksmith or somebody to let her into her home. But still she believed the keys would come back. One afternoon, a car drew up at her door and a well-dressed man stepped out. "Excuse me," he said. "Did you happen to lose something in the zoo several days ago?" "Yes!" she cried eagerly, her heart beating fast with excitement. "My keys!" "It gives me pleasure to return them to you," said the gentleman. "I found them there and saw your name and address on the tag." He had driven 20 miles to deliver them. Perhaps it was only an accident. It happened so, but I don't think so. Jesus had his own wonderful way of answering the prayers of his loving children, and he delights to help them in every time of need. In other words, Jesus doesn't want us to worry, but rather to tell him all about our troubles. If you have lost something and feel that it is important that you should have it again, say a little prayer and see what happens. One thing is sure, he knows where it is, for he knows everything. And if it is for your good and for the glory of God that you should have it again, he will surely help you find it. It's worth trying anyway, isn't it?
Thank you, friends, so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed these little stories and were encouraged that prayer does work. Amen. Friends, if you haven't subscribed, please do that now and click that bell so you can get immediate notification when we post a new video. And we hope to see you next time for another amazing story. Bye!